Hey, what's up guys, my name is Charlie. Today we're going to be doing some more requested reaction videos, and this video is requested by Billy Mount, and it's going to be Cinematic Excrement, episode 115, and it's going to be Ghosts Can't Do It. Yeah. Hey, what a really strange movie title. Ghosts Can't Do It. I feel like I'm about to watch a bloody porno or something like that. I mean, can ghosts do it? Is that what it means? Is it talking sexually? I mean, ghosts can't do it. Can't they get it up? I mean, I don't understand what's going on here. What am I about to watch? What the hell have you made me watch? What am I gonna be expecting? Is this gonna be like a ghost threesome or something like that? Or I have no idea. Or a ghost sexual sort of phenomenon with ectoplasm covered all over the bed and walls. I know, I got a dirty mind, but the title, it just says Ghosts Can't Do It. And when you have a movie title like that, Ghosts Can't Do It, a lot of possibilities do pop into the head. Hopefully ghosts can do it, because if it would suck if you died and ghosts can't, sort of get it up and, have a bit of fun in the afterlife. I mean, that would pretty much suck. No wonder why ghosts are always haunting people and always grumpy and pissed off. If you can't have sex in the afterlife, my god, that's gonna suck. Eternity of them, no sex. Fuck me, yeah, that would drive me insane. Let's check out the video, shall we? Let's go. Oh boy, ghosts can't do it. They can in Ghostbusters, I think. If they possess someone. Maybe if you can possess a human, you can sort of have ghostual intercourse. That's enough, I know. I'm sorry.
Welcome to Cinematic Excrement. Today I continue my quest to review every movie that has won the Razzie for Worst Picture, and now we find ourselves in 1990, which means for the second time in the Razzie's very short history, we have a tie. And we're going to start with Ghosts Can't Do It.
That's
Mainly because my copy of The Adventures of Ford Fairlane hasn't arrived yet.
Oh boy. Yeah.
That seller's not getting 5 stars, I can tell you that. Anyway.
Ghosts Can't Do It, and yes, do it means exactly what you think, was written and directed by John Derek and produced by and starring his wife, Bo Derek. And I can't believe I already have to talk about these two again. It wasn't all that long ago that I reviewed their previous film, Bolero, which also earned them Worst Picture honors along with Worst Actress, Worst Director, and others. And if that wasn't enough, at the 10th Razzie Award ceremony, Bo was also named Worst Actress of the Decade, and Bolero was nominated for Worst Picture of the Decade, losing to Mommy Dearest.
I demand all of the recounts.
Bo Derek was also nominated in 2000 for Worst Actress of the Century, which, if the Razzies were honest, would have been called Worst Actress of the last 20 years because they didn't look at any other part of the century, but she lost to Madonna. Not sure if I agree with that.
Ghosts Can't Do It was the last film Bo and John made
Ghosts
together,
Can't
and
Do It.
indeed the last film John directed before his death. And boy, did they go out with a...
Bang. No
Not
pun
a
intended.
bang.
The ectoplasm explosion.
A fart? Yeah, they went out with a fart.
Derek
Ghosts
plays a
can't
woman
fart, though.
named Katie. Anthony Quinn
They have
plays
no
her
gas.
billionaire husband, Scott, who she calls Great Scott, or the Great One, which isn't nearly as endearing as the movie thinks. Nor is the fact that there's about a 40-year age gap between them.
Well, how about that? John Derek made a movie where his wife marries a man several decades her senior.
Of course. Hollywood.
Right what you know, I guess.
It's fucking
Unfortunately,
Hollywood, I
it
bet
seems
ya.
their marital bliss won't last long as Scott has a bad heart. Hell, he has a heart attack in the first scene of the movie and has to be taken to the hospital, which leads to the first of many awkward transitions in the film. 1 minute we're in the hospital, and then...
Will you shut up and listen to me?
Whoa, okay,
Oh,
we're listening.
damn.
It's amazing how so many things can be wrong in one shot. It feels like there should be something before that line, something that would prompt it, but no, that's where the scene starts. And then after that line, several seconds of silence.
You asked him to shut up. He shut up. You got something to say or not?
I'm listening.
And as this scene continues, Scott is informed by his doctor, friend, gigolo, I don't know, it's not
Gigolo.
clear, that he can't get a heart transplant because of his age. Somehow, Scott is surprised by this.
Well, what did you expect, jackass? You're old. You've lived your life. What do you think a new heart is going to give you? 5 years tops?
We're
Yeah.
only a few minutes in, but between the ridiculous dialogue and downright horrible pacing, we already have a pretty good idea of just how terrible a filmmaker John Derek was. Speaking of horrible pacing, it takes Scott seemingly forever to die. The movie keeps telling us Scott is living on borrowed time, but God must have given him one hell of a loan. And when he finally croaks, it's not the heart that does him in.
He gets
Well,
shot.
that came out of nowhere. Also, what the hell kind of zoom in was that?
And if you're wondering if Bo's
He shot
acting has
himself?
gotten any better in the 6
He
years
went
since
hunting
Bolero,
and
prepare for
accidentally got
disappointment.
shot.
It's necessary that you hold me and love me, Great One.
Someone give this woman an Oscar.
Oh, Lord. Now, to be fair, I don't know if there was a right way to say that line, but that certainly wasn't it.
Unnecessary slow-mo! But after his soul ascends to heaven, which is apparently little more than a black backdrop, Scott is allowed to continue communing with his wife by a fledgling angel played by Julie Newmar, who apparently brought enough ham for everyone.
For my first case.
I
Creepy.
am acting.
And this is basically the rest of the movie. The ghost of Scott continues to speak to Katie from beyond the grave, but except for one brief moment where they're dancing together, they're never actually in the same shot. And for the life of me, I
Maybe they
can't
ran out of
imagine why
budget.
they chose to have the two leads spend the entire movie talking to someone who's not there. Clearly, they didn't have the budget for decent ghost effects, since the most they could do was project Quinn's image onto a pool of water, apparently. But what
Yes.
would have been so wrong about him just standing next to Katie looking completely normal, except only she can see him? It worked for Ghost. Why wouldn't it have worked here?
Hey, Ghost was
Certainly
good
would have
that
looked better
movie.
than that cheap-ass water filter they went with.
And of course, Katie spends the entire movie talking back to Scott despite being the only one who can see him. You would think this would cause everyone to assume she was crazy and back away slowly. But that would be the logical thing to do, which means it's not going to happen in a John Derek film. Instead, everyone just kinda goes with it.
That seems unlikely, to say the least. I know she's rich and she looks good naked, and yes, of course she gets naked in this movie. What else
Of
would
course.
you expect? But no one
It's the only
is
way
at
to
all
sell the
turned off
movie.
by the fact that she's constantly talking to her dead husband.
Yeah, it's a bit creepy.
Really?
Oh, and if you're wondering why Scott decided to shoot himself instead of something less messy like overdosing on pills, this is his answer.
Real men don't eat quiche.
Real men don't
What?
eat quiche?
Real men don't eat quiche?
Are you implying that you are not a real man unless you blow your brains out? Because that is the dumbest thing I have ever
That
heard
is
this week.
just...
We are living in the dumbest timeline.
Yeah.
Speaking of dumb, if you've never heard the expression, real men don't eat quiche, it's the title of a book by Bruce Fierstein. The book was intended to be a satire of masculine stereotypes. Sadly, the satire
like men
was
don't
right
use
over
umbrellas.
the heads of many men, like John Derek apparently.
Well, thank you so much, John, for doing your part to prove the stereotypes correct.
Hmm.
You are a disgrace to my sex.
Yeah.
For many reasons.
I just
Anyway,
come
now
on.
that Scott
It looks
has
a bit like
finally
Mel
kicked the
Brooks.
bucket, we can get to the actual plot of the movie. Scott and Katie are in a bit of a bind because while Scott is still able to hang around as a ghost because reasons, like
Don't
the
mean
title
to insult
says,
Mel
ghosts
Brooks. Mel
can't
Brooks
do
is
it. But
awesome,
Scott
but
has a plan for coming
he
back to
sort of
life.
had that sort of
The plan
great
is for
eyebrow
Katie
stuff.
to murder someone, and then
Now we're just
Scott
like
can
Robert De
possess his
Niro.
body.
Apparently, coming back to life is
Mel
that
Brooks
simple.
and Robert De Niro look
Who knew?
alike.
So it's up to Katie to find a young, sexy victim, and since she inherited Scott's massive wealth, travel expenses won't be a problem. So she begins her journey around the globe in search of a man her late husband can possess so they can start porking again.
Wait a minute.
What the fuck is this? Plumbers don't
A
wear
rich
ties?
young woman is traveling the globe in search of a man to have sex with. Wasn't that the plot of Bolero?
Oh my god, the Derricks actually did it. They recycled the plot of their last movie and
call
added
it
a
a
ghost.
plot.
That's all this is. It's Bolero with a dead guy. I knew John was a terrible writer, but I didn't realize he was lazy to boot. Well, Katie meets several men on her journey who proceed to follow her around everywhere because they apparently have nothing better to do. There's Winston, an old friend of Scott's, played by Don Murray, a Sri Lankan mayor who is never referred to by name, he's just the mayor, played by Henry Jayasena, and the eventual victim, Fausto Garibaldi, played by Leo Damian.
And with a name like Fausto Garibaldi, you'd probably assume he's Italian. But this Stunad can't even be bothered to put on a fake accent.
And boy, does his performance leave something to be desired. He has the same vacant expression on his face throughout the film. Even when he gets slapped twice, nothing changes.
The lights
What?
are on,
Really?
but there
You
ain't
got
nobody home.
slapped and you didn't
Good
even
thing
react to
intelligence
that?
is not a requisite for possession.
And when Katie is not trying to find a man to kill and then have sex with,
And it just occurred to me how bad it sounds when you phrase it that way.
she's doing business deals in Hong Kong with, oh God, kill it with fire!
Oh,
What the
sorry.
fuck is that? Does that Donald
reflex.
Trump look like?
But yes, that really is Donald Trump.
Really?
In fact, that's exactly what it says in the credits at the end of the movie. Yes, that really was Donald Trump. So if
Holy
you're tired of hearing me
crap.
talk shit about this man, boy, did you pick the wrong episode to watch.
Kate is here to do business with
That
the
was fucking
motherfucker on
Donald
behalf
Trump.
of her dear departed husband. I couldn't tell you what kind of business because the movie doesn't even attempt to make that clear. The only thing that's
Jesus.
clear to me is John Derek was never at any point in his life in any kind of business meeting. Dipshit Donnie is only in the movie for a minute or two, but even in that
this
short
movie.
span of time, his lack of acting talent is clear. And I can't say I'm surprised. He's been terrible at everything else
He was
he's
also
ever
in
done.
Home Alone or
Why
something like
wouldn't
that.
acting be on the list?
And how has his hair always been that way? This man has an obscene amount of money that his father gave him. Surely he could afford a decent stylist.
Yeah.
You're too pretty
Well.
to be bad.
Anyway, at some point after that nondescript business meeting, something really bizarre happens. Some fat guy
Oh,
with
boy.
a gun shows up at her hotel swimming pool to possibly kill and or rape her. But I guess Kate is a highly trained judoka or something because she flips the guy into the pool and... Wait, what?
What?
What in the sweet candy-coated hell just happened there?
Wait, don't
I
jump the
swear I
scene.
did
What
not
happened?
cut anything. She flips the guy into the pool, he points the gun at her, and then we immediately cut to the next morning where she's waking up in her hotel room.
Was it
And
a
for
dream?
some reason, she's trying to unscrew this vent cover. Why is she doing this?
Why?
And what happened to the fat guy? We
They
never
must
see
have
him
run out of
again. Is he
material
in
to film,
jail?
so
Is
they-
he dead?
they must
Am
have
I dead? Is
scrambled
this
to
my
record
hell?
this shit.
This isn't the only part of the movie that's like this. It's a complete mess throughout. Several
Maybe she's in a
characters will show
coma.
up at random without being properly introduced. Katie appears to know who they are, but she's certainly not going to tell us. And then they just vanish and are never spoken of again.
I really wonder just how much footage ended up on the cutting room floor that could have filled in some of these gaps. And how bad must that footage have been if even John Derek wouldn't put it in the final cut?
Yeah.
Or is this like a
Dad.
snowman situation where they ran out of money before they finished filming and just edited together what they had?
Yeah, that's
Well,
what I'm
after what
thinking. They
seems
just
like
filled
an
in the
eternity,
blanks
it's
just to make a
finally
2-hour
time
movie.
to kill Fausto. But even when he's trying to force himself on her, Katie still can't bring herself to bash his brains in. Not that there's much to bash in, mind you, but it doesn't really matter because later on he goes snorkeling and somehow gets caught in a net and drowns.
And this
okay.
is a huge problem for Katie and Scott because Scott apparently cannot possess him if he's dead. Which is odd because I thought the entire point was they had to kill Fausto for Scott to possess him. Does he have to be dead or alive? This movie can't keep its premise straight for 90 fucking minutes.
In any case, Katie CPRs him back to life, and Scott takes over his body and somehow retains his voice, which is creepy as hell. And since they technically didn't kill him, I guess that conveniently takes care of any moral quandary. And they live crappily ever after at the end.
And that is the absolute mess that is Ghosts Can't Do It.
Ugh,
Given what we've seen
fucking
from the
hell,
Derek so
Ghosts Can't
far,
Do It.
I would say this is par for the course.
There's a reason why this film was made independently. After the Derek's previous outings, no major studio would touch their work with a 10-foot pole. The dialogue is terrible, the plot is an incoherent mess, John's directing is laughably inept, he has no sense of pacing and the transitions are awkward as hell. While Anthony Quinn wasn't too bad, most of the acting, especially from Beau and Leo Damien, just plain sucked. As I said earlier, John never made another film after Ghosts Can't Do It, and
No
while
wonder
Beau
why.
continued acting, her star in Hollywood had faded considerably since her meteoric rise in Blake Edwards 10. I mean, her highest profile role of the 21st century was Sharknado 3. I think that says it all.
Sharknado
Ghosts
3.
Can't Do It did get some sort of theatrical release, but Box Office Mojo doesn't even have any data for it.
Fucking
According to
Sharknado.
IMDb, it made just $25,000.
Even though this movie clearly
I like
had a very
Sharknado.
low budget, I can't
Sharknado's good.
imagine how that could be anything less than a spectacular failure. Even when you factor in inflation, the Blair Witch Project cost more money to make than Ghosts Can't Do It made at the box office.
The movie was nominated for 9 Razzies and won 4. Aside from Worst Picture, Beau Derek won her 3rd Worst Actress award, John Derek won Worst Director for the 2nd time, and Donald Trump was named Worst Supporting Actor.
I will give
Jesus,
the
fucking
Razzies
Donald
this much
Trump in
credit.
this movie.
They
My
were
God.
way ahead of the game when it came to shitting on Donald Trump.
Yeah, Jesus.
And I do respect them for that.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for Ghosts Can't Do It. I know this review has been kinda short, but honestly, there's really nothing more to say. There's just so little that actually happens in this movie, and what does happen is horribly confusing. Suffice to say, this movie is bad and is not worth your time. It might seem like it could be enjoyed ironically because of the weird thing they're doing with Scott's ghost, but trust me, it gets old pretty quick. Perhaps it could be studied by film students as a prime example of how not to make a movie,
Yeah.
but otherwise I
Oh,
can't
this is an
recommend it.
example.
And now that we're done with Ghosts Can't Do It, we get to move on to the other Worst Picture winner from that year, which is apparently about a guy who was named after a car. Until then, I am the Smeghead, and Hollywood can suck it.
Oh boy, Hollywood. Ghosts Can't Do It. Really, of all the movie titles. Well, I gotta admit, that title Ghosts Can't Do It is it's sort of creative. If you want a porno movie. I don't know if it'd be enough to recoup the travel expenses. Oh,
She
boy.
is desecrating the Sabbath. It's Friday.
Well, there you go. That was Cinematic Excrement, episode 115. Ghosts Can't Do It. Yeah, like I keep saying, every time I say that, I feel dirty. Ghosts Can't Do It. I feel like I'm watching something really dirty, like a porno or something. Like, I keep expecting, like, ghosts to be having a sort of threesome or something like that. I mean, ectoplasm covered everywhere. I mean, it's just totally messed up, weird, bizarre, strange title to have. I mean, seriously. What a really bizarre, weird title to have. Yeah, thank God it wasn't, what I was expecting. Thank God it wasn't, like, a soft porno or anything like that. Yeah. Ghosts can't do it. I don't know if ghosts can do it or not. I mean, you're dead. You're in the afterlife. I mean, there was, like, Ghostbusters. I mean, she was possessed. I mean, she could have, be able to, do it. I don't know. It's an interesting question. It's a phenomenal question. It's like a strange phenomenon. Yeah. You gotta tell me, guys. Can ghosts do it? Someone test this theory. I don't know. When you one day die and pass on to the afterlife 50 years from now, and when you die, tell me, do you still have all your parts down below, and can you still do it? I don't know how you're going to communicate with us. Maybe technology will change. In another 50 years, we'll be able to communicate to another dimensional world or shift or something like that. We can talk to ghosts with, like, ghost boxes, like walkie-talkies or something like that. Who knows? Yeah. I do not envy ghosts if they can't do it. Yeah, if you like this video, make sure to give a like, comment down below, and make sure to subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content. Jesus Christ. Make sure to like, comment down below, and make sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Jesus, this one was interesting. Peace, guys.